Hey, before we get started with the interview, I really hope you don't mind, but I actually need to make a quick call. I'm going to call really quickly Carolyn Dargenio of Uniquely You Inc. Coaching. You've heard her on the podcast before. She's been the voice of Audible, and so I hope you don't mind. Sorry, but I will include you on the call.
Hello.
Hey, Carolyn. It's Eric. How are you?
Hi, Eric. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Do you have a second?
I do.
I have a quick question. I interviewed Yvonne Nardone for this week's podcast, and there were just maybe 2 or 3 swears in the podcast. Do you think I should just bleep it, or do you think I should just give a warning?
Which words were they?
I don't remember. And then I think I may have contributed to it once you got going.
I think you have done the warning thing before.
Okay. I'm going to do the warning.
Do you have to do anything for the podcast itself? Like when you know how it's listed?
Yeah, I have to list it as explicit. And I think for some people, they may choose not to listen to that if they have kids around, or they may be a more sensitive listener. I think for some people, they look for those kinds of podcasts and choose those first. Either way, people know that listener discretion is advised. Hey, Carolyn.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, it's tomorrow.
I know.
I do it again.
I'm a day early. Isn't that awesome?
I have this one friend who every year is a day early. Here's the thing. I mean, the best part about your show is its authenticity, and this interview was authentic still, I'm sure. And some people authentically swear.
Word.
Right? I mean, so you're doing the wise thing by just putting it out there that people have the right to choose.
Awesome.
It was like Christmas or something, and we just wound up doing one together, and it was just such a blast, and it turned out so well. He's like, I can't imagine doing it without you, because he won't go out and do anything. Yesterday we did 2 podcasts, and it was like way better than going to a movie, and I'm frugal. I'm extremely cheap. I'm obsessively cheap. And so I'm like, we just saved like, $25 going to the movies, where we wouldn't talk to each other. We'd just sit in a seat and be uncomfortable and buy overpriced popcorn. To us, it brought us closer, and it's an activity that we get together and we talk about.
ADHD Rewired, episode number 70. This is the show designed to help those of us who have really good intentions and a slightly wandering attention. My name is Eric Tivers. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, coach, and consultant. We know that starting can be the hardest part, so let's get started. But first, let me thank our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by ADHD Rewired Coaching and Accountability Groups. To find out about the next ADHD Rewired Coaching and Accountability Group, go to coachingrewired.com. That's coachingrewired.com. Hey everyone, really quick, if you have a tendency to not listen through to the very end, which was fine, I would highly, highly recommend that you listen through to the end on this one, at least up until the random question round at the very end. I talk with Yvonne about anxiety and mindfulness, and we kind of go into some strategies about managing anxiety and mindfulness sort of in-depthly. So we kind of bring that conversation back towards the end, maybe the last 10-ish minutes or so. So I would really encourage you to listen through all the way to the end, but let's start with the beginning. Enjoy. Welcome to another episode of ADHD Rewired. I am here in the virtual ADHD Rewired studios with my guest, Yvonne Nardone, the better half of Tom Nardone. Yvonne, I'm so happy that you were on.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You know, the last time I tried to have you on, I was in a last-ditch effort because I was like the end of the week, and I was like, crap, I don't have anyone to interview. So I reached out to Tom, and he was saying you already took your medication and that you were zonked out. And I was trying to convince him to wake you, but he wouldn't do it. So he knows there are certain boundaries and lines to not cross with you. So it sounds some domains, Yvonne, you have him well trained.
Yes, he definitely follows them through. As far as sleep goes with me, that whole thing led to separate bedrooms. It was mostly sleep and me getting rattled, and I'm intolerant of people bothering me when I sleep. So,
and if you go back, I don't even remember what
because
episode.
I can't sleep.
I don't remember what episode it was. Tom and I talked about Married with Separate Bedrooms. That was the title of the episode. So just in case you're new to the podcast, I want to welcome you. And if you don't know who Tom Nardone is, Tom is a blogger and has a podcast, The Tom Nardone Show. It should be the Tom and Yvonne Show, but that's, so Yvonne.
At least he lets me on it.
So between, as we were kind of saying, I think you're kind of the star of the show, because if it weren't for, here's the way I describe the show, Yvonne, to other people, that I feel like you guys that we're listening to a conversation that we really shouldn't be.
Yeah. It's because we talk like we talk normally.
I love it. And I love it. It's so genuine and authentic and funny. And so I just think it's great. And I think that, I think that having a partner in life kind of helps us do better things in life. So, on behalf of Tom, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, this isn't all about Tom. I want to give you.
It is. It is all about Tom. Because he's Mr. Awesome. Yeah.
Well, I want to know about you, though. I really want to know about kind of you, your upbringing, because both of you guys have ADHD. Like many of us, you didn't know that you had ADHD until what point?
No, actually, my son was bipolar. And I had been just reading so much because there's so much comorbidity and so forth that goes along with, are they ADHD or are they bipolar, and trying to differentiate the two. And I'm like, I'm totally ADHD. I was just reading, The Bipolar Child was a book. If anybody has a kid with bipolar, it's a wonderful book. And that's how I kind of diagnosed myself with, I already had depression and anxiety, but didn't realize that ADHD was a big part of that, that real another comorbidity, to what's going on in my head. Nothing but crazy going on over here.
As I think it was 2 episodes ago, I interviewed Paul Gilmartin from the Mental Illness Happy Hour, and
I love that. Yeah,
such a good podcast.
He's great. I went on and started listening to his stuff. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good, and it's always so fun when you discover like a new podcast, but it's been out for a while, so you can do like a lot of binge listening to it.
Yeah, I did. I totally binged on it. Yeah.
And he talks about it's
very candidly about things.
It's very candid. But he uses the phrase, it's all the battles in our head. So ADHD, as we know, often comes with friends. These aren't always these aren't always good friends, but they're friends nonetheless of, bipolar, anxiety, depression, learning disability, dyslexia, OCD, so all of those different, what I call friends. ADHD often does not travel alone.
Yes. Yeah, it has a friend. It's my dark, what is it? Dexter says my dark passenger,
So how does that dark passenger interplay with you and your ADHD? And because there is often that question is, what is it? And when you're having these challenges in life, it's like, well, is it this? Is it that? And when emotional self-regulation is actually a component of ADHD.
Oh, it's huge.
So how do you differentiate, and what's your understanding of how do you kind of tell the difference between ADHD and bipolar?
Yeah. Really what I started mixing with cocktails because I had gone through some trouble, some really
like rum and coke.
No, more trouble than that. Like I got locked up a couple times in the old mental facility.
Okay.
With depression.
Okay,
and,
so it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, I went manic, actually.
Okay.
I stayed up till I was staying up all night, sewing, refinishing furniture, and went out and got 3 jobs and then couldn't sleep.
Okay.
And so I was afraid I was going to NyQuil myself to death
Okay.
because I was trying to get to sleep and stuff. So I wound up going into a mental hospital, which was really, I met some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life in the mental hospital. I mean, they were funny. I mean, and I was manic and I laughed. I laughed so much I'd sweat through my clothes and have to change my clothes and take a shower because that's all I did was laugh because I was so manic.
Wow.
It was so crazy. But we really didn't address the ADHD part of it. It was just trying to get me out of mania, because it's very uncomfortable. It's like mania is great, like you feel like a superhero and you can do anything you want to do. But then there's that double-edged sword. You can't sleep, and you also have terrible anxiety that goes along with it.
It's got to be exhausting.
It was, and I lost all kinds of weight, you're eating, everything just changes, with that. But I finally kind of my second hospitalization, or was it my third? It might've been my third after my mother died. I kind of said, listen, I'm just as much ADHD as I am bipolar, because we don't want to give you a stimulant if you have a chance that you might go manic, but I'm bipolar too, which the tendency is just to be depressed, for longer periods of time and have just little hypomania where you just kind of get irritated
and just so people know, not bipolar 2 isn't also, but bipolar number 2.
Number 2, yeah.
Right. And it's a little brain trick just for the way I learned to remember that when I was going through my clinical training. Because couldn't they come up with a better name to 1 and 2?
1 and 2. I know all these crazy psychologists out there that
I know, really. It's
cool names for stuff. And
so 2 is blue, and 1 is blue, and 1 is fun.
1 is fun.
Because the mania.
I've had 1. 1s are awesome. 1's incredible. And I used to have good ones and I used to be incredibly productive, but as I got older, it just kind of turned into just 2,
Yeah.
It was getting on the right cocktail for me was huge. And I've been on at least 30 different medications trying to get it together. And I've got I'm like an old lady. I am older, but
you just celebrated a birthday.
What's that?
You just celebrated a birthday.
Yeah, I'm 49 now, so going on 50.
Happy birthday.
And thank you. But I have this pill box. It's the 24-day pill box, and I fill them all up, and it's stressful for me to manage medication because I'm ADD and, getting prescriptions filled and get them filled on time and organizing all that. I mean, that's an ordeal in itself. So I try to make sure that I get 90-day refills and,
I could so relate to that.
It's just nuts trying to just deal with medication. My nightstand is Elvis, I feel like I'm Elvis because all the stuff that I have to take just to function. And I still deal with anxiety, but I just now went on I was on regular Concerta that I was taking for the ADHD, which really helped. But I went ahead and I've gotten with a therapist, which I always thought was a bunch of hooey. Therapists were Freudian following people.
It's a bunch of baloney. All these therapists.
Yeah, a bunch of baloney. Yeah. And so I said, I need a therapist. And so I went to her, and she actually helped me get on more ADHD medicine because I was dipping, it was wearing off, and I was starting to hate being at work and getting unorganized in my thoughts. And,
what helped you move beyond from the mindset of, therapists are phooey and seeking that help?
I was just desperate. Just nothing, it's not fun to be in the hospital. I mean, it's like prison beds. They blow an air conditioner on you. They stick a needle in your arm at 5 o'clock in the morning and then throw a blood pressure cuff on you. You get coffee, but it's decaffeinated. You sit in these conference chairs. That's the only chairs that there are to sit in. They're plastic. There's nowhere comfortable to sit. You watch the same television shows that everybody watches. They're all on video. It's so old, but they're charging you thousands of dollars a day to be there, but it's just a really dismal place to be. And nobody wants to go there by choice, but, unfortunately I had to go, because it was kind of dangerous for me not to go, and all that. But, and you're around a lot of people that have severe problems that are scary, scary issues, too, that you go, well, why am I in here? Boy, they've got a whole lot worse than I do, and everything like that. So yeah, I wanted to stay out of the hospital. I wanted to stay better and not relapse. And so going to a therapist, really kind of helped me realize that, helped me with self-confidence, things like that.
Are you still seeing a therapist?
Yes, I do. I like her. I told her I don't like therapists. I think they're a bunch of hooey. And she thought I had sleep apnea. And I was like, no, it's ridiculous. And I think she's ADD because she's got stuff all over her office. It's just messy and it's disorganized and it drives me crazy.
That's funny.
It's busy in her office.
My office has been that way for a long time. I redid my whole office about, 3-4 weeks ago. And amazingly, like I don't have any piles still. Like I know it's not going to last. I know the piles are going to come back at some point. It will. I mean, it's completely inevitable. But I'm on a really good streak here.
Yeah, it looks
nice. I know
nice.
I have something. I don't know if you could see it.
I wish my therapist's office looked that good.
No, but
she over decorates too. So over decorates. Yeah, over decorates with too much foo-foo stuff all over the place. You know? Yeah. So color schemes upset me. I don't know if that's an ADD thing. Is that, not liking like busy wallpaper and busy things?
It can be. It can be.
I tend to like things very more minimal. Every couch I buy is brown. Everything is beige. Everything is just, one color. I wear very plain colors. I don't wear busy clothes.
Was it on your guys' show where you said that your favorite color was brown?
Tom says that all the time, that my favorite color is brown.
Well, it's funny because when he was saying that, no one's favorite color is brown.
It's not, but
Yvonne, my favorite color is brown. I love brown.
Rock on.
It's earth tones. It's,
it's earth tones. I know, it's nature.
Like all my clothing is in like the brown family or like the blue family because you can do that together.
Blue goes good with it. Yeah.
I have no ability to like put together something that matches like on my own. So I have to make sure that my wardrobe will work no matter what I put together. And I still manage to screw it up sometimes.
My mother was OCD, and she used to make me little uniforms, and she could sew, and she would do anything you wanted to do. So I told her I liked knickers, and this was in the 70s. And so she made me like knickers and suit jackets and little turtlenecks. And it was like American Psycho when you open my closet because they were all lined up just perfect. These little suits and these turtlenecks I even had a cap that I'd wear. I'd look like I was out of a Dickens novel.
That sounds so nerdy.
It was, I was a complete nerd. I wanted to be a boy for one thing, every picture of me, it's like, who's that boy in that picture in the 70s? I'm always wearing like a tank top or something like that, some kind of or a baseball cap on my head, constantly. Yeah, but I was right out of a Dickens novel. My mother, she just let us do whatever we wanted to do. So she was all for it. She's very supportive in our weirdness, So
I was listening to your episode yesterday as you guys were talking about the tree incidents.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's only for you guys is that like just it makes great fodder for
it's dealing with Tom is so hard when something happens like that because it just crushes him and he just can't deal with it, and he has to because I can't do it because I'm not strong enough. So and he fights it. Why do we have to even do anything with the tree? Why don't we just leave it in the front yard? I'm like, kill the grass, he looks at that.
We
have a homeowners association, it looks like the Rockefeller Center, tree fell in our front yard, pretty much.
And I know when you said to him that, well, it's going to kill the front lawn, he looked at that as like, great. I don't have to mow.
Yeah. I'm like, no, we have to buy new sod, like he doesn't take value in horticulture. And I was a horticulture major at one time. So I was a landscaper. So, that kind of stuff is important to me.
How do you deal with that?
What's that?
Because I know you guys banter about it on the show, but like, when the mics are off, and I know that the show it's pretty real conversation. I know that, but
Yeah.
like from you, like, is it from an emotional standpoint? Like, how is it for you
That he
that
doesn't care about the things that I care about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I when we were first married, he tried to please me all the time. So, I'd get truckloads of mulch and we'd have parties and we call it mulch madness. And I'd buy like 12 cubic yards, which is a lot, which is bigger than a regular dump truck. And he thought I was crazy, but I love mulching, and it just like makes me so happy. And he cries and moans the whole time before we do it. But once we get into doing something, he's great. But sometimes he'll try to invent new ways of doing things. And I'm like, no, this is it, because he tries to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
Like yesterday, he noticed that a fitting on the mic thing might work as a tripod for something. And I'm like, this is not what we're doing right now, Tom. We're doing a podcast. You're not inventing something right now, So we got to move on,
But that's so the ADHD brain of always looking for novel uses for different things. I mean, I feel like my brain is like constantly stuck in that mode.
Yeah. It's something sparkly. Like you want to turn the spreader for the fertilizer into some kind of mulch mechanism, and I'm like, it won't work. And it's, it's just, you're trying to make it easier for yourself, but just do it. Just do the work, but, he can't really wrap his head around that, too well. So luckily, as our child got older, his friends got older, so it got a little easier to get help. But I'm basically planned out and poured a concrete slab in the backyard and put a basketball hoop up, and that solved a lot of the yard problems. So a lot of it was just I landscaped around Tom's ineptitude, so I knew that everything out there I can do myself. Like I got my own pole saw chainsaw, and I remember last year I was standing on top of his SUV limbing branches off the neighbor's tree with a giant pole chainsaw, and the limbs are coming down, and one of the branches came down and hit me in the eye, and it gave me a black eye. And he's like, you're forbidden from using that thing again. No, he won't go out and use it and help me out with it, but he'll forbid me from doing things.
Well, that's not right.
He'll forbid me from doing things that are dangerous because he's afraid I'm going to get hurt, but he won't help me do it. Yeah, it's like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yes.
And after that incident, actually, I was kind of wary of using a pole chainsaw. I'm like, what age am I? I'm not 20. I need to, chill out.
But do you love doing that kind of stuff? Like, you find it fun?
I'm an animal. I love hard work. Hard work has always been one thing that's always gotten me through. That's what made up for my ADHD, is that I was such a hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what compensated for me not having good written communication skills, not being very organized. The fact that I was such a hard worker and so productive, it helped me get promoted, helped me, move along in my career and so forth, just because I'm a hard worker.
And there is so much to be said about hard work. I mean, and I think especially when you have ADHD, or you have, whatever it is that makes doing things just more challenging, having that sense of self-determination, having that want to be successful, to grow. For me, I think it builds character. I know for me, it's sort of like that idea of ADHD time, that you have to work twice as hard for half the results.
And as a woman, you have to do it too, So I had the woman thing too, because I'd be the only woman in a staff meeting. It'd be all men, and I'd be the only woman, and I got ADHD on top of it. So it was always double. I always had to be twice as good, in order to get, where men got. It's different now. Things have changed in the last 20 years, but it's much easier for women to move up and so forth now. That glass ceiling has been broken a little bit more. But being ADHD, actually one of my managers, one of my bosses diagnosed me ADHD as well. Because his wife was, and he says, you're ADD, and Tom, it worked for me at one time. That's how we met.
So
and,
what was that like, working with, and you still are his boss technically, aren't you?
I'm the boss of the house. Actually, I am at work, but sometimes they put him in my department. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to give him a work list. It's just, I just have to take that day and just chuck it and just say nothing's getting done in my department because Tom's scheduled there. But they never schedule us at the same time in my department, in any of my departments. It's just, he's just there. And I know that he's just going to take care of the customers, and that's fine with me. It's just, I'm glad I work with him in the same store. It's nice to have a person that's on your side, that's definitely on your side, not, true and blue. And he's got an ear out for me as well, at work. So he can tell me what's going on when I'm not there too. So that's good too. But it was funny, our first meeting, it's, he had heard that I was coming to run as a night manager, and he had just moved to nights because he didn't like his review. And so, and a lot of it was his ADD, that, gave him the bad review. It wasn't necessarily the person, but he said, if you think I'm going to work for that bitch, you got another thing coming. Yeah, because I was known as being like a pit bull, because, I didn't listen to people. I shouted orders. I was like, rah, rah, get this done, kind of like a drill sergeant, and so when he met me, it was just, but almost instantaneously loved the guy. He said to me, he came up to me and he was driving a forklift, and he said, you know what they call that thing, that the paper that you put on a toilet? They call it a paper ass gasket, and right there he had me at paper ass gasket, that was my moment, but I really dig this guy, and another girl was like, that Tom guy,
you guys are
strange,
so
but I
lucky.
really like him.
You guys are so lucky that you found each other.
Yeah, it's a miracle that I found somebody, he's a lot like my father in a lot of ways, except he has better work ethic. He takes care of, he has a better sense of responsibility. And
Tom does, or your dad did?
Tom does.
Okay.
Tom does much more. So, and being a responsible father and so forth like that. Because my father, it was like going out with a kid that had his driver's license, and I was the adult in the situation.
How do you think that affected you, just like even now as an adult, growing up with a dad like that? And is your dad still around?
No, he passed away a few years ago. But we really he was a toxic relationship. So I really hadn't had a relationship with him a real relationship with him since I was like 13 years old. I kind of went through puberty and kind of said, enough's enough. I kind of outgrew my father, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And so I kind of, and then friends were more important than seeing him on Sundays, in his wrecked up car with trash all in it. It's a lot like Tom's car. There's so many things that are parallels, are much like my father with music and creativity, because he was a videographer and did the public access television and did comedy and he was a liberal talk show host, and I'm a conservative. So we would always banter about.
Are you? Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
The worst thing I
wouldn't have thought.
Father,
okay.
Yeah. Worst thing, I'm more of a libertarian actually, but
that I could see.
But it was funny because my father, I spent my time in bars because he was playing in polka bands in bars all the time in Cleveland. And so, I'm sitting at the bar stool drinking my, Shirley Temple, and this guy says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, a stockbroker. And my father took me out to the car and read me the riot act. A stockbroker, what kind of creativity, is there in a stockbroker? They're not creative. Creativity is number one. That's how you rule your life. You have to be creative. Money doesn't matter. He was a socialist. And so Upton Sinclair was like his hero. So, he just, it was a very interesting, highly intelligent, did a lot of stuff, but never made a dime in his life, So it was interesting. He could run out of gas, and stuff.
So you married someone who also apparently does not care about money.
Yeah, he doesn't care about money, but he knows it's important that he gets it. He knows that my expectation is that he have a job and be responsible, and he does that. He takes on that burden.
And the reason I bring this up,
and that's his only requirement for me
is to just have a job.
Yeah, because if he scoofed around like my dad did, it wouldn't be the relationship wouldn't be there. Because that's something that I highly value is work ethic. Work ethic is extremely important to me, and my father didn't have work ethic.
So Tom wrote a book. He wrote and published a book.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's incredible. And I'm still stuck on page 14.
Oh my God. Yeah. Cause you don't read. Yeah.
It's not that I go through waves. And I will read it, and I'm committing in my coaching group that I'm going to read his book. But when I talk
it's really a good book.
That's what everybody tells
me to read, because I kind of see the inside mind of what's going on in a kid's head.
And when I asked him,
it's a lot of it's sad.
But when I asked Tom about how book sales are, he's like, he has no idea.
No, he doesn't care.
He's doing nothing to promote.
He wants to be famous. That's all he wants to be, is famous.
So he
doesn't care about money.
All right, Yvonne, I need your help here, okay?
Sure.
So this is between you and me and anyone else who's listening.
And everyone else in the world.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to help Tom see that if he promotes his book a little bit, and if he makes some money with his book, that can actually help increase the ability for more people to read his book and then help more people.
Yes.
How do I convince him of this?
That's a motivation for him, is helping other people. And so I think if you expound about the helping other people part of it, that will get him going more.
Because I'm not telling you anything you don't know, because I think Tom, as I've gotten to know him, he has one of the biggest hearts of anyone I think I've ever met. He's one of the
most helpful people I've ever met. Yeah. Yeah. He actually helped me and my ex-husband move, We've known each other a lot of years. It took us a long time to get together. So, we had a lot of experience. But he introduced me to Napster, and my ex-husband to Napster, and, my family. And he taught me how to use Napster. Yeah, Napster.
Like the music download thing?
The music download thing. Yeah, that's how long.
That just brought me back to college.
Yeah, I know. That's how long we've known each other. But we didn't get together for a few years, because I finally got divorced and he got divorced. And, he called me up, I think within days of his wife leaving him, and pronounced his love for me. And I said, there's no way in hell I'm going out with you. You're a train wreck.
And how did he convince you?
We oddly found chemistry. We tried it. It took some wine, but it worked. It worked. And so he got me. He tried really hard. He really put on he put on all the stops. I bought him a pair of shoes so I could go out in public with him. And I told him he couldn't wear sweatpants with penny loafers and without socks.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it's okay, Eric. It's all right if you do.
Does he wear socks and sandals?
No, he doesn't. He does. You do that. I can see you doing that.
I totally wear socks and sandals.
Is it like a Birkenstock kind of socks and sandals kind of thing?
Something like that. I mean,
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
I have no fashion sense. Like I would
but
like
the socks
to.
Are white? Are they
sometimes
brown?
I've done both.
Yeah.
Recently my sister gave me a hard time because I was wearing shorts with sneakers and like blue socks. Are you not supposed to do that?
No, you're not.
I mean, I was thinking because there's blue in my shoes. So
well, I cured that for Tom, because Tom had that issue. So what I did was I threw away all the socks and I bought gray tube socks. So that's the only thing he has the option that he has to wear is gray tube socks. So I leave him no option. So because socks are a big deal to me. So that's how I kind of cured that thing, was I just give him no option. Then we have Underwear Amnesty Day, where you throw away all your old underwear and I bring you new underwear, and I don't want to see it.
Is that a national holiday? Because if it's not, it should be.
It's a holiday. It's usually after Christmas sometime when I got a little Christmas money, and I'll just buy socks, brand new socks, and say, give me all the old ones or give me all the new old underwear. Well, I don't really want it. I want it go in the trash. I don't want it to go through me, I do it with my son. I do it with Tom. And
have you seen some of these like membership based things where like I think it's the Dollar Shave Club, where like every like month or 2 months I get like new razors. So it's like I don't have to think about it. It's just like set. There should be like a $1 underwear club.
Yeah. Or you get a new pair, and it kind of reminds you. Because I mean, I was folding laundry, and I'm folding this underwear, and it looks like it's not holding anything in because there's so many holes in it. I mean, you're going to get hurt, you know. And so, you know, I threw them away. But you know, so the underwear amnesty thing kind of cures that whole thing of me just kind of raking just fresh slate, you know, for everybody, same color, no white, absolutely no white. You know, I'll change him up. I'll switch him from boxers to, you know, whatever. He'll wear anything because he's too lazy to be fashionable on his own. So he actually dresses quite nicely because I buy him nice Goodwill stuff and nothing busy that'll clash with my couch because I don't like busy. And he sits on the couch on the chair all the time. And so it drives me crazy. So I have to buy him clothes that don't clash, that don't drive me crazy because he had these Mountain Dew pants that had Mountain Dew all over him. He's wearing them all over the house, and it was like bad wallpaper. And it was just ruining the whole aesthetic of my house, what he was wearing. So I threw him away, and he's still sour and bitter about that. But I had like friends and family. I said, do not buy him anything but plaid. I can deal with plaid because he wears pajama pants everywhere where we go out. And he wears pajama pants. Like we went to a store staff meeting that he had to go to. It was a store function, and we went together, and he wore pajama pants with me. And I'm like a manager, and he just, you know, he doesn't care. He's like, can I wear pajama pants? I'm like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Just wear whatever you're going to wear. Cause I don't want to have an argument. You know, I know you got khakis up there, but you know, they're probably dirty. So, you know,
How's he doing with his laundry? Does he wash his pants anymore?
I don't know, and I don't ask. It's don't ask, don't tell policy on washing the clothes, but I do the expiration date on the shirts, and I make him change his shirts. So he apparently does. I quit about 3 years ago. I said, because I can't keep up with laundry. It's my ADD. I can't manage it. I can barely manage my own laundry. I said, you guys are on your own. I need the washing machine on this certain day. I need the laundry room. Otherwise, it's all yours. And so they do their own thing. And it's usually a big pile or a mess, or usually you can't walk through the room in here without laundry. But he's got a system now, I think, going like a 3 laundry basket, a shirt, pants, underwear, socks kind of thing going with laundry baskets. And he's got 2 nice full walk-in closets. And I don't even have that. And he can't keep it together.
It's definitely, it seems like it's been better from what I've seen when we're doing a video call together. It's often looks, I mean, it used to look like it should be condemned. Now it's looking more like it's just
it looks like Hoarders, like an episode of Hoarders when you walk in here. Usually. I
know he's working on it.
It's kind of clean now. Yeah. I mean, for Tom, it's pretty clean. But there's still construction stuff from the studio. There's nails on the floor. There's sawdust. And he ruins every vacuum cleaner I ever gets. I don't let him touch it. So I just say, to hell with it. You can live in it.
Yvonne, it's all about progress, not perfection. But what I need to do really quickly is just jump in to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Support for this podcast comes from Audible. For a free audiobook download, go to erictivers.com/audible for a link for that free download and for some hand-picked recommendations. Go to erictivers.com/audible for your free audiobook download. Zoom video conferencing is so easy to use that with all the extra time I saved not having to configure complicated settings, I recorded this promotion. Support ADHD Rewired and check out Zoom video conferencing. Go to erictivers.com/Zoom. Again, that's erictivers.com/Zoom. Get a Zoom room. And we are back with Yvonne Nardone. I could probably sit and just listen to stories about Tom all day long. I was talking to, Carolyn Dorgenio.
Yes.
And,
she's great.
And we were talking about Tom. And I was talking with her during a couple weeks ago. I was having some kind of high anxiety. And I don't remember how it kind of came up, but she just says, Tom is so good for you. And I'm like, what do you mean? and and
like Pigpen was for Charlie Brown,
No, and what she says, it just like I forgot the words that the actual phrase she used, but it was just something about how like he just lightens me up a bit, and
yeah,
and she said he's good for my spirit, whatever kind of that means, but I kind of agree, it's
it really is.
I enjoy Tom. I'm glad that we've become friends.
No, he's a kind person, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at
really,
first I really did not know what to make of him.
Yeah. That's the way I felt. Like at first, like, we don't know about this guy, but I kind of like him anyway.
He kind of grows on you like a fungus.
Yeah. Like I remember at lunch break, we'd go to Waffle House, and he would never bring money, and because he's incredibly cheap, so I'd always buy and always feel obligated to buy him something, and so he was in his 20s, so he put like 8 mayonnaise packets on his French fries and start pouring mustard and ketchup all over it, and it looked like the most assiduous mess you've ever seen in your life. And it was just disgusting, but it's just, but I still liked him anyway. It was hard to think about dating him at the time when we were going to date. With the whole food thing has changed now, but so yeah, there's a part that's kind of hard to take with Tom, but if you can get past that,
But what I love about Tom is his. I mean, it's radical acceptance. I mean, he accepts more than he probably should. But and I think I look at acceptance, and you guys were kind of talking about this on your recent episode of the podcast. As it doesn't mean you're not going to do anything about it. It means you understand it and you know what you have to do about it.
Yeah. I know that I have to go through a terrible fight. I have to go through this. I know I have to go through Tom's grieving process, all this stuff before he has to take action on something, and I have to suffer. And it's a ding in our marriage for sure. It's tough to have someone that has to go through that many transitions and not just a get it done kind of guy. I'm like, let's get a plan. Let's get it done. Let's get it done now. And he's like, oh my God, no, it's too much for me. It gets overwhelmed, and can't do it. But I'm like, you have to do it. It's a fire drill for me. He doesn't take it that way.
So besides, what I don't want to know is the honeydew list, because he won't do that anyways.
No.
From your perspective, and I know that Tom would be fine with me asking you about this. Sure. What do you think Tom needs to work on? Well, let me back up actually a little bit. What do you think about Tom joining my coaching group?
I think if he puts the work in, but also I think it might be an excuse not to do other things around the house. Interesting.
So
that's
he
already stated the tree thing is going to get in the way of his group activities. And so now he's not going to be able to deal with the tree because he already has this game plan set for himself of things that he has to do. I'm sure Eric works in contingency problems. Like, what if you had to go to the hospital if your car breaks down? So I'm sure that Eric doesn't say, well, you have to do this stuff absolutely, and you can't do anything that comes up, just spontaneously that you have to deal with in life, because that's a part of ADHD is transitioning, being able to do that transition to, oh, I'm sorry, my plans changed.
Yeah.
I've got to deal with the change of plans.
Yeah. I was on Facebook yesterday or 2 days ago, and I was on someone's page came through my feed, and it was for a coach, not in the ADHD realm, but just in the kind of business coaching, and had that Nike slogan, the "Just Do It." And for me and a lot of other people, I think with ADHD, find that really irritating.
But it is kind of true.
So I was thinking about this, and if someone else can kind of create this and then post it on the ADHD Rewired page, it'd be great. So imagine the slogan, "Just Do It," cross out the word "just," so you can still see the word "just," but cross it out. Then put "Just Do It, comma, anyways." Because I think that
makes sense.
Because to me, it's like I think the word "just" it's one of these minimalizing words that kind of takes the how hard something actually is.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of disvalidating.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Because if it was just that easy, I would have just already done it.
Yeah, I would have just lost 80 pounds, I mean, yeah, just do it. Yeah, you can,
And there's truth to it, but at the same time, I think it's one of those sneaky words.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right about that.
So I think it's that they do it anyway. So, and even though it's hard, even though it's boring, even though it's scary,
just get started, get started, how do you, because he just needs getting started. And that's the hardest part. It's starting.
Right. Yes, that's right. That's right.
For me, it's the hardest part is getting started, because I find myself at work and I just spin and spin and spin and spin. And then I go, hold on, just do this one thing. And then you'll do the next thing, and then you'll do the next thing.
And here's how I would do it, because I'm kind of removed from the problem. I just see it, virtually. I would take a picture of that tree, right? Then I would put it into a program like Sketch, where you can annotate the picture. I would then divide it up in maybe 5, 6, 7 sections, and have each section be like a day of what you're going to actually like work on chopping up or whatever.
Yeah, I've got that all in my head right now. Yeah, it's already in my head. It's already just floating around there.
And I told him too, he should put up
out every branch and how every branch should be cut and how every branch should be laid, because I got a little OCD in me. So yeah.
Well, and the one thing he can do too is, if he takes the first part, sets a timer, and see just how long it takes him to do the first part, then he can know how long the whole actually thing is going to take him. Right?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll do only just do this part. That's all I want you to do. And then all of a sudden he gets going, he gets excited, and he gets into it, and he starts doing more.
I think it would be awesome if he did a time-lapse video of himself doing it.
Yeah, well, actually, our son is now doing it. He got the chainsaw out, and my son was chopping up when I got home from dinner or from lunch today. And so he has actually proactively done something without me telling him to do it, which is really awesome. So maybe it's part of your group.
Congratulations.
Yeah, or maybe me giving him hell on the show yesterday.
Wait, you're saying that your son has been doing it, or Tom has been doing it?
But he's instigated it and gotten the equipment ready for him to do it and told him how to do it.
Okay.
That's all I asked him to do.
Okay.
That's all I asked him to do. I didn't ask him to do it. I just asked him to get it done. That's all, because I'm allergic to cedar trees for some reason. I break out when I start dealing with them.
Really?
So I can't deal with them.
Huh.
It's like poison ivy for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? I know at Home Depot they sell those hazmat suits. So you can just get a hazmat suit, even though
it's like 120.
I was just gonna say it's only like 120 out there.
Yeah. It's if it could be 120, it's 120. It's ridiculously. It's oppressive heat right now.
Oh
yeah.
Man.
My son was out there. He's worn out. He's already in bed now. It's in the afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were telling me, I think a bit ago, there are a couple other things I wanted to talk about. When you got Tom the microphone and stuff for the podcast. Now I'm wondering, wait, did we talk about this in the pre-show before we hit record, or was this already talked about?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Talking about it in the pre-show or
so
not.
Let's talk about it really quickly.
Okay, sure.
Because if we already did talk about it, there were probably some listeners, if they're still listening, well, maybe spaced out during that moment. So
they were distracted.
So here's to us.
Yeah.
So he said to you that you're having no part of his podcast.
No part of it.
No part
of it. It was his thing, because his thing was ADHD people. His thing was a blog. His thing was a book. That I could sometimes be on it occasionally, but we wound up, it was like Christmas or something, and we just wound up doing one together, and it was just such a blast, and it turned out so well. He's like, I can't imagine doing it without you.
And after the first couple I heard, I messaged Tom on Facebook, and I was just thrilled. I thought that it sounded awesome, and I said to him, wow, this must be doing such amazing things for your guys' marriage.
Oh yeah, because we have something. Because he won't go out and do anything, so it's like yesterday we did 2 podcasts, and it was way better than going to a movie. and I'm frugal. I'm extremely cheap. I'm obsessively cheap. And so I'm always pinching a penny. And so I'm like, well, this is, we just saved like, $25 going to the movies, where we wouldn't talk to each other. And we'd just sit in a chair in a seat and be uncomfortable and buy overpriced popcorn, and so, to us, it brought us closer, and it's an activity that we get together and we talk about, and that, he does more than I do. I just kind of come in and sit down and just go, because I like it to be spontaneous. I don't like things to be
Yvonne, you deserve that.
I let him do all the hard work
for everything. Well, just in all the other
because
areas
he doesn't
of
mind
life.
doing it.
Well,
yeah,
right.
because I do everything else around the house. He can do that.
Yes, you do.
I mean, he doesn't even know what our bills are. He doesn't know how much our electric bill is. I mean, he has no clue to anything or finances or how the groceries get there. They just get there, and stuff like that. I
do know he appreciates you, though.
Oh, he does. Yeah. He'd be crushed without me. Yeah. Because he wouldn't be able to function, because I allow him to function or not function, to do what he wants to and give him the freedom to do it and not give him a hard time. Except when it comes to too much video games, that gets me. When he's playing too many video games. Because one time he got carpal tunnel from playing Rock Band or some kind of arm injury. And he said it wasn't from it, but I know it was from that game. And he almost had to get an MRI and he missed work. Yeah, from playing video games, Video
games are dangerous.
They're dangerous, yeah. Well, if you play them for like 12 hours at a time, So I never saw him. He was just playing video games all the time. I said, this is ridiculous, So, but he's learned to curtail that. And this stuff, the podcast keeps our focus on each other,
and that's good, because that's productive. He's creating something, and it's of value. I mean, I know I look forward to it, and I know if I'm like, wait a minute, is something wrong with my podcast feed? If I don't see an episode when I'm expecting one, I'll message him like, what's going on, guys? Where's my episode? I need my Time Nardone show fix. It really is. It's a great show. No, I do. I love it. Please don't stop.
Oh, good. Sometimes I think, God, people can't be interested in this. They got to be irritated by hearing us argue.
No, it's the best. It's the best. Because I feel like I shouldn't be listening to this. Like, do they realize they recorded this and put this out there for people to hear? And that's what I love about it. It is so real. I love it.
I hear a lot of me and my wife do the same thing, or whatever, that kind of thing. I think it's universal. It's not so much to ADHD, but ADHD, is brought up, quite a bit in the show, but it's not really so much. It's a kind of an everybody's kind of show, more so than an ADHD show.
I kind of agree to that.
Yeah, we bill it as one, but it's really not, because we'll do topics that, like last one we did was on cliches that we didn't like, and that's not ADHD, it's not mindfulness or, whatever, executive functioning or, anything, any of these big words, we don't get into any of that at all.
I love how squeamish Tom gets when we're talking about the brain and about science of ADHD.
Trust me, you've lost him if you started talking about that. His head is somewhere else. So you're going to have to keep him engaged, because it's going to be really hard to keep his head in the game, because that drives him crazy.
Although he did tell me that he recently went back to listen to some of my earlier episodes, and I think it's episode 8 where I talk about motivation and the brain, and I did these like voice roles where I played the role of dopamine and the frontal cortex using music behind it, and he told me he liked it. So I haven't done.
No, you've helped him a lot. No, he knows a lot more, about things, about ADHD and technical things, and hopefully he'll work on them. Before, he was just satisfied just to be what he was and just deal with, not being able to go out or not being able to, do the things with me that he wants to please me, but he can't, or fix things that he's supposed to be fixing or whatever, and doing his part, around the house, so. I think that it's going to help him. I think, he's really taking it seriously. He's doing his homework.
I know he is.
He bought a special notebook, and just he's so excited about it, and he really likes the people in your group and everything like that. So, he's committed. So once he commits to something, he generally does it once he gets his foot going.
That's awesome. That's it's great having him in the group, and it's in a lot of ways it's an exciting challenge for me too. And I told him that too. It's like,
yeah, he's the toughest. If you can get somewhere with him,
it's a good thing that it's a good thing I like him.
I don't expect anything. I don't see him ever changing, but
well, I don't want to change who he is. I just want to supercharge his awesome. That's what I want to do.
That's good. That's a good way to say it. That's definitely a good way to put it.
And really, the things that I see him being able to do is really in that realm. Is help him do more of the things he already does really well. And maybe as a side product, he'll maybe help out a little more on the house. But I'm not going to deal with that directly.
No,
because he's he'll be like an oppositional kid, and he'll, as soon as you tell him to, empty the dishwasher, he's going to just say, no, make me.
He's very ODD. Yeah. He definitely has that characteristic.
So I want to, one more topic I want to talk with you about is because you said that because anxiety is a big part of your life, that mindfulness.
It's my nemesis right now. Yeah, it's my nemesis. Yeah, it sure is.
Talk to me, Yvonne, about how you experience anxiety and how you use mindfulness to help yourself.
The big thing is my head will start racing, all the things I have to do, then you're like, well, I'm just a piece of crap because, I did this, I'm not worth anything because I start self-talking myself into a negative way. It's just, I don't want to feel like this. The anxiety is there regardless of what I do or what I think about. It's just a physical thing that happens to me. And I found meditation is something that's just working for me. I mean, I take medication, but medication will only take you halfway there, And so meditation, as silly as it sounds, it's just, it works,
How do you practice
cold baths and usually dark room, TV sometimes on, sometimes off. Sometimes the TV on can distract me from my anxiety. So I use, television to help me with my anxiety a lot. It's my crutch. It used to be carbs would be like ice cream or something like that. But I can't just sit there and balloon up to 400 pounds, and just eat ice cream for anxiety, although it works, but
for the moment.
Yeah. For the moment, it's like a heroin addiction for me anyway, chocolate and stuff like that. So I've gotten off that and we've been on diets, but the meditation and stopping myself from thinking things, stopping the tape in my head, the bad loop that goes on, first it's my mother, then it's, work, then it's, my son, then it's, whatever. And then I just start this loop of eternal anxiety over all these different things. It's a house, things that are not done in the house, things are not, I'm not living up to certain standards. I'm not, where I need to be, finances, all this stuff just starts going racing through my head, won't stop. Once my ADHD medicine is over and it's time for bed, it's crazy town up here. And so, I, take the medication, which kind of takes a little bit of the edge off of it. And then I do meditation, the relaxation meditation, where you slowly, loosen your muscles in your face and loosen your muscles in your hands.
Okay,
and
so that's the
whole thing.
Progressive muscle relaxation.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going through a whole body scan where you take different muscle groups throughout your body as you're breathing and tense them for a few seconds. Holding that breath in while you're tensing your muscles and then completely relax the muscles. It's my favorite one is when I'm working with, especially with kids and I'm doing this is to make the funny face, cause you scrunch your face like you're really, really mad and, so it looks totally awkward and strange. But one of the things that happens is that, people sometimes don't realize that they have a stressed look on their face and that there's a muscle component to that. And if you can trigger muscles to connect a certain sensation with relaxation, when you start actually making that kind of that anger, an angry expression or a worry expression. But if you're associating this with a progressive muscle relaxation, when you start getting tense, this cues your body to say, oh, I should take a breath.
Yeah. Well, I've also tried the power pose at work, the I Am Wonder Woman, and I'll go like to an area where no one can really see me, and I'll like pump up my chest and stand up straight, and I am Wonder Woman, I am invincible. This kind of self-talk, like mantras.
Yeah, there was there was a TED Talks, something McCuddy's
Alan
great
Brown
TED Talks.
Talks about it too, you know. But a couple other places.
Well, it's true because there is a absolute feedback loop between our mind and our body and our mind. I mean, we all know that. I just thought, what was that Snoop Dogg? My mind and my money and my money and my mind. And that just kind of came to my head. All right. There's this feedback loop, you know. So most people have heard this idea that if you just kind of force yourself to smile, you actually create the chemicals in your brain related to happiness. The reason that one is easy to do because the muscle sequence for smiling is an easy one to fake. Okay, our brain recognizes that, but that works with every emotion. But you have to sequence the muscles in the correct way for the brain to kind of recognize it as kind of the signature, the body's signature for that emotion. So the reason this is all relevant to mindfulness and meditation is when part of mindfulness is it's noticing, it's paying attention, it's doing so with curiosity and without judgment. So, you know, if you're having all these thoughts that are racing through your head, you know, instead of judging the thought and trying to force yourself to stop having the thoughts, because if you're telling yourself stop having this thought, now you're just thinking
you're still
about
having it.
Right. You know, it's the pink elephant
it's just
experiment.
Worse. Yeah.
Right. You know, the pink elephant experiment is, well, if you tell someone to think about a pink elephant, okay, fine, they got the image of it. Now think about anything but the pink elephant. The only way to know if you're not thinking about the pink elephant is you have to be thinking about the pink elephant. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So instead of trying to push the thought away, change the perspective of it. Notice it. Observe it like a third person. You know, so you can say, oh, I'm noticing a worry thought. There's judgment. Okay. And even just the idea of, if we think about a thought as it's this crazy neurochemical electrical reaction that somehow mixes up together and is stamped with language so we can make sense of it. That's amazing. I mean, that is truly amazing. So if we think about, if we have a negative thought, we can just, in a truly mindful place of gratitude, just say, thank you for the thought. The fact that we're having a thought means that we're alive, you know, and I think it's really important to look at that perspective of, just because we think it doesn't mean it's true. Just because we feel it doesn't mean it's true. You know, it's so our thoughts are powerful things, and sometimes we're not always aware of how it affects us. I know I've mentioned on a past episode the book 10% Happier, which you can get on Audible. The author, Dan, I think something. I'm glad that I can remember the name of the the book.
10% Happier.
Yeah, 10% Happier. So the author talks about one of the phrases he uses, and actually he wanted to name the book this, but the publisher didn't go for it, was "My inner voice is an asshole."
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I really hate that asshole. Yeah. That's very good.
You know, so I think
that about nails it for me. Yeah. Thank you, Eric.
But when you can change it from it being you to this other entity, and then and I encourage people to name the entity, give it a very neutral name. Bob, Dan, John. I just I don't know why I'm only
Not
naming
like
girls'
Rasputin
names
or something like that.
Right.
No.
Like give it a name that has no positive or negative association with anyone. Name it. And then so when that voice starts acting up again, you could say, so if you name your voice, say Shirley, I don't know. You could say, all right, Shirley, I got this. Okay. It's like,
right.
Thank you for your input. I'm going to take care of this. So
that's a good idea.
So you acknowledge it. You're not trying to push it away, because here's the thing. You can't control those automatic thoughts. You can only control what you do immediately following that thought.
Right. not crawl in a ball and just let it go in your head,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Yeah.
You can notice the desire. You can notice that, you know, if yours is short,
paralyzing. Yeah. It
can
paralyzes
be.
you.
It can be.
Yeah.
No, and I've gone through periods of high anxiety in my life, so I definitely know how challenging that could be. It's especially when there's a lot of physical anxiety to it as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. So that's the monkey on my back right now. I'm trying to cure, but you know, I'm in a new job that's highly stressful, you know, that I'm trying to learn. And when I get better at it, the anxiety will go down. So I just say, I'm getting better. I'm learning more. I'm so much better than I was last week. You know, I'm much better. I doubled my knowledge last week. I doubled my knowledge. I'm double it, you know, and so I think about what I did, and, you know, to kind of make me feel like, you know, not what I don't know, but what I have, what I do know.
That perspective shift can, that change of perspective can change so much. You know that, like, what a Chinese finger trap is?
Oh yeah.
You know, anxiety is kind of like that. The harder you pull, the tighter it gets, right? When we look at treatments for anxiety, the thing that you want to do most, you know, run away from the anxiety, avoid the thing that's causing the anxiety, escape the anxiety, because eat ice cream.
Oh yeah. I want to scream running out of work. I just want to scream and run.
And the thing is that it works for the moment, but next time you're triggered by something, you're right back where you are. So from a therapeutic perspective, what we try to do is help clients lean into that anxiety and actually intentionally increase it and try to sit with it for as long as they can tolerate. Because what will happen is our brain will get the signal, wait a minute, nothing dangerous is actually going on right here. Because our brain cannot maintain that level of arousal. It cannot maintain that heightened state of anxiety, especially when you're intentionally leaning into it, even though it sucks. Right?
Yeah, I can't imagine doing that.
So
I got so much material, just new material is going to come up, you know, it's just something else is going to take its place.
Right. And therapists who work just with anxiety will even tell their clients, like, we're not here to talk about the content that's making you anxious. Like, because it's not about the content. It doesn't matter that it's the mess. That's not what it's about. It's not about your mother-in-law. It's not about whatever it is. It's the anxiety. It's the feeling behind it and our interpretations of those feelings. And so it's otherwise it gives what happens is we have a thought, and that thought triggers a signal, and the signal immediately jacks up our nervous system, right? And so we start paying attention to it, and we start doing different things in order to try to alleviate this feeling, because the feeling is very unpleasant. So the brain learns that, I should keep sending you those signals because you're paying attention to them. I must be doing a good job. I'll keep sending you those signals that making you are feeling anxious. You know,
I get it. Yeah.
So it's truly in the real sense of the word, it's the therapeutic approach is to rewire the brain. You have to unlearn. You have to change the behavioral responses, and it's hard. And you know, people who
I'm just beginning. I'm in the baby stages of dealing with that kind of stuff and looking at it in new terms, and not just looking at it medically. You know, looking at it more.
And I learned.
I guess.
I began to learn mindfulness meditation when I was in grad school, when I was laid off from an internship, and I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to graduate. Like I was kind of freaking out. Right. And so that's where I learned meditation. And one of the things that recently I realized is that because I'll get these periods of anxiety, and because I've learned to not judge the anxiety, just notice it, don't judge it, just kind of sit with it. In a sense, you give it a hug instead of pushing it away. Right. And I realized one day, I'm like, I'm hugging this anxiety a lot, and it's actually been kind of intense lately. How long has this been going on for? It's because I was so non-judgmental of the anxiety that I actually didn't realize that it sort of became a problem again.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really just from being someone that struggles with some of the stuff and being a clinician. I just found that really interesting. It's like
that it still happens to you.
Yeah. It's like
you should be onto that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anxiety is man, it can be a beast. It can be a beast,
it is a beast.
But it can get better. And that's the thing that's really important to understand. And for me too, it's one of the things that helped me is I think I talked about this in my last episode, was I decreased my medication, my Adderall, and then I increased it. It's not to the same dose that I was on before, but I was originally on 60 milligrams. I'm just telling my personal, I'm not recommending anything for anyone, right?
Yeah.
So just for me personally, I was taking 60 milligrams of XR, and I was on that for a long time, and I was doing really well. With that, I was having a lot of like really, really bad anxiety, where I would spend like hours just looking up psychiatrists, but then never taking action on it. I mean, that's
okay, yeah.
Talk about anxiety meets ADHD, right?
Yeah, I totally get it.
So I called my doctor and well, first I just cut the Adderall in half, so it's on 30 milligrams. Helped the anxiety, didn't help the ADHD.
So the thing is, the ADHD causes anxiety because your head's going in so many different directions that it actually calms you down, and that's what what it helps. Mine is the wear off time. When it wears off, that's when my anxiety hits.
Yeah.
When it wears off.
And so I was at a month at 30 milligrams, and I was sort of just getting through the day. I was just taking care of what was right in front of me. And then I got my dosage changed. I'm on 50 milligrams, and it's made a world of difference. My anxiety is very, very minimal. I feel much more focused. I'm able to think beyond today. And for me, that's one of the big things that the medication has done, is allows me to think beyond today. Otherwise I'm
out.
Not even just that. It's just like my brain feels clear in how it thinks when, but it's, I guess in some ways I thought that I was just, I was the exception, that I've been on the same dose of the same medication for a really long time. I started on Adderall in college, and I've been with that except for a period of 2 months ever since. And, that's not usual. And, so I guess I'm pretty unextraordinary when it comes to some of these medication issues.
They say you need less as you get older too.
Maybe. Yeah. Because, the brain continues to develop. And,
for me, the booster pill kind of cured a lot of it, for me, kind of stopped me from spinning and, getting on task and staying on task, because it was really hard because of the stress that I wasn't staying on task. The whole, I don't want to be here, I hate everyone, I can't believe anybody's talking to me kind of thing. The ADD. What is that? What does it make you hate people when you're ADD? And you like people, but you love people.
No, you're talking like when you're coming off the medication.
Yeah.
I had a client
everyone or everything, and everything irritates the hell out of you.
I had a client last week who was sharing that very same thing with me, and that's a common experience. And what I tell people is that, like, if that's happening often, that's a side effect that we probably shouldn't tolerate, and that we should, go talk to the doctor and see.
Oh, really?
Because if it's isolated to maybe a 30-minute window, that's one thing. But if it's like, that's how you feel, like, because the way this one client described it to me is like, I'm been productive, but I hate everybody. I don't want to be with anyone.
Yeah.
And like, that's not okay.
Yeah, well, actually, taking the booster cures it for me. It's when it wears off, I start hating everybody. So, but it's just because it's distracting me, from my distractions. It's just more.
It's very meta.
Yeah.
Meta distractions. So speaking of meta distractions, I think it's time that we move into the last part of the show, and this is the part of the show that we call the random question round.
Question round, okay.
So it sounds like you never made it this far through the show. So this is the part of the show.
I don't, because I'm ADD and I start looking at stuff and then I go, oh, that's interesting, I'll look that up. And then I go to the internet and start looking stuff up. And then,
So
and start researching whatever you were talking about. Yeah.
So
I do
Yvonne, since you haven't made it,
I've ever heard one of your entire shows. I just parcels.
Well, welcome to the last part, because this is the part of the show that has nothing to do with ADHD, which then paradoxically has everything to do with ADHD.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I think so.
Come up with an invention that would improve something in people's lives.
A hybrid bean or corn product that would grow with no water.
Interesting. Why?
Because it would feed people and stop starvation.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I don't know. Is that where we're supposed to go with these kind of questions?
You can go wherever you want with it.
Oh, okay. That's just where my head goes.
And then what I try to do is I try to go create tangential questions based on your answer.
Okay.
Okay. My next question is, if you were to build a house out of corn stalks, how many? One, do you think you'd be able to do it?
Oh, absolutely. Already planning it now.
Please walk us through that.
Well, I've got to bundle it somehow.
Okay.
So I've got to get twine and I got to bundle it, and I'm going to make separate bundles that are very strong. And corn is going to be vertically strong versus horizontally strong, because horizontal cylinder is much stronger than something that is horizontal. So I have to somehow figure out how to engineer that. And obviously I can use the stalks in a certain formation for the roofing and so forth, but the leaves, if they're in the right direction. And
do you think that you would be able to use only the materials that come with the corn from the root up and build something?
I could probably make the twine out of the stalks by just peeling off parts of it and making the twine. It would be very labor intensive. It'd probably be more productive to buy twine. Cost effective versus cost versus labor. I don't know, what do you call that scale or whatever. The cost benefit or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So after you've created your corn house and you decided that you want to kind of set up some nice stuff in the house, and you think, I'm going to create this biofueled, it's going to be powered by biofuel, so you have the fuel ready to go just from the corn, and you're going to get some podcasting equipment to bring into your corn house, and you're going to create your very own podcast. What's going to be the name of your podcast, and what is it going to be about?
Staying corny with Yvonne. I don't know.
Well played.
It has to be, I don't know, a kernel of thought. I don't know.
I'm a sucker for puns.
Like
I love it.
I'm a pun freak.
Oh, I love it. I can do. I should do a pun round. I gotta think about it. Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah, in the Zoom meeting, that'd be great. A pun round.
The idea is gonna stalk in my brain for a while.
You were just stalling so you can come up with that one.
I think we're gonna end it there.
I'm feeling a little husky right now because I ate too much lunch.
Does it make you feel like you want to pop?
Back to corny. All right.
All right. I feel like if we go any longer, we're going to be burning the midnight oil.
Sure, and it's getting hot up here without the air. I can start smelling Tom's stuff now that the air conditioning's off.
Cue the outro music. Yvonne, do you want people to reach you?
They can get me on Facebook, ADHD People. Leave comments there. I do that. Friend request me. That's great. ADHD Rewired community as well. In that group. Also, Warriors, Gina Fenton's Extreme Mom Warriors Club. I'm in that as well.
I've heard some good things about that club.
Yeah, we're crazy.
I understand that I'm excluded from membership.
Yeah, you're too clean. You're too white bread.
Oh, I thought it was because of my gender.
No, you could still be in it. Totally.
Oh, okay.
Tom's in it. Yeah.
Well, if the requirements are not clean, and then sure.
You have to be a potty mouth to be in the Warriors.
Yvonne, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm glad we have to do this.
I appreciate it. I had a great time.
And at some point in the future, I'm going to have both of you guys on, because that's going to be a riot. Yeah. So thank you, and thank you for taking care of Tom.
Oh, well, thank you for all the good advice. I really appreciate it, Eric.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of ADHD Rewired. And if you're new to the show, welcome to ADHD Rewired. We are more than just a podcast. We are a community focused on learning, growing, and connection. You could see a full outline of this and all other episodes with all the links and other resources mentioned during this interview at ADHDrewired.com. Help support this podcast by checking out my sponsors. I use Zoom video conferencing nearly every day, and so can you. Go free or go pro. But please, go to erictibbers.com/Zoom so they know that I sent you. And you can get a free audiobook from Audible at erictibbers.com/Audible. And next time you shop Amazon, use the Amazon search portal at ADHDrewired.com. A small percentage of your purchase will go to support this show, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. You can also support this podcast by leaving an honest rating and review in iTunes or Stitcher. This really helps other people find this show. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Don't just be a passive listener, be an active member of the ADHD Rewired community. We are on Facebook. You can like our page, but please submit your request to join our free and growing community. And don't forget to check your other inbox because I screen everybody before they come into our community. Looking for a coach? If you're still listening at this point and you answered yes, come to my website at ADHDrewired.com and schedule your free 20-minute consultation, or call me at 224-993-9450. Is your school, business, or organization hiring speakers? I provide fun and engaging presentations full of practical solutions that both educate and entertain. Hire me for your next professional development day or corporate training event. Go to ADHDrewired.com/talks. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next week.